What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment-related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. As the weeks go by, the question is starting to come up more and more as to where is Jeffree Star at this point in time, guys. This is a guy who I have, really didn't know much about until the documentary that came out from Shane Dawson about Jeffree Star in the beauty world as a whole. And I gotta say that Jeffree Star seems like a really genuine guy and somebody who is really taking his brand in a major way and kind of transcending the beauty world, in my personal opinion. Well, with that, guys, with all the backlash going on in the beauty world, the backstabbing, the problems that are happening behind the scenes, which of course none of us really know what's going on unless you're directly involved in this stuff. It's interesting to say the least that he is no longer at this point really posting on Twitter. He hasn't posted on his YouTube channel. So let's talk about that. So guys, Jeffree Star, where are his, what are his whereabouts at this point in time? And I've alluded to this in the past, but we'll kind of break this down here. He has not tweeted since June 21st, his last video that came out. And as the weeks go on, guys, I mean, this is something that there's really no end in sight. Like, when is he going to come back to Twitter and even to YouTube? We look at his, YouTube channel. He has not, posted anything for 3 weeks. Now, at the end of the day, he doesn't post like on a daily basis, but still does post, pretty regularly, and we have not heard anything at this point in time. So what does this mean? Well, as far as what I can tell is that at the end of the day, guys, with all of this, just tons of like backlash and heat on the, on the beauty world as a whole, I believe that he is actually just kind of, taking a backseat, waiting until the storm passes, so to speak. And we've talked about this as well with like Shane and some of these other, big time celebrities within the beauty space at this point in time, kind of just letting things, kind of blow, the storm blow by and come back when it is, at the right time, so to speak, coming back when things kind of settle down a little bit and there's, they kind of take their time with, putting a statement out there and explaining what's going on. Now, partially, this could very well mean that there are some legal matters going on behind the scenes as well, and that's why he's being advised not to say anything on social media or on YouTube while he's trying to, figure things out. It's hard to say if that's the case, but I honestly think that he is one of those, one of those individuals and personalities that when something like this happens, which is, kind of the entire beauty world as a whole is just almost like, just being exposed in one way, shape, or form. And there's just so much like backstabbing and just issues behind the scenes, guys, where, it just seems like everybody is out to basically hurt each other's careers and such at this point, even though I'm not, directly involved in the beauty world. That's just what it seems from an outsider's perspective, and I really hate that because he creates incredible content. I love seeing what he's, some of the stuff that he posts, obviously on social media, but also even on, his YouTube channel, and I really have, enjoyed watching the content just because it's something that I was never really familiar with until after the documentary came out with Shane. And so that being said, guys, I believe that at this point in time, where is he? He is currently behind the scenes, not really, obviously speaking out, not stating anything, kind of letting the storm pass. And then when the time is right, he'll probably put out a statement and explain what's going on. Unless there's some kind of legal matters going on behind the scenes, that's most likely where he very well might be. All in all, I hope he does come back and we kind of get some clarification on what's going on and hopefully comes back better than ever. I mean, this is an entrepreneur, guys. This is somebody who, obviously has a sort of stigma within, his community and his fan base and such of being like the villain within the beauty world. And I think he accepts that for what it is. But I do hope that he does return at some point or another here. we'll just have to kind of wait and see, guys, as more information comes out and see what happens. But that's where I think he is at this point. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below as to where you guys think Jeffree Star has gone at this point in time. Let me know what you guys think. And for more content like this, guys, stay here with Zero TV. Ken Levine is one of my favorite creative directors, guys, working in the video game industry. And with that, I have been kind of wondering over the course of time, what is Ken Levine doing at this point? Like, what is he working on? What's his next project following, of course, BioShock Infinite, which, of course, he was a part of the BioShock universe, guys, made some incredible games. I thought BioShock Infinite was absolutely incredible. I was hoping that he would stay and, you know, be a part of Irrational Games and continue the BioShock series. But now he started his own thing, that being Ghost Story Games. And what's interesting is that, you know, there's a lot of question marks here as to, you know, what his next project is going to be. I mean, he has obviously been with Ghost Story Games now for quite some time. And on his official Twitter account, he has his current project. And if you follow the link to this current project, it'll take you to a link, guys, based from GameSpot. It's called Narrative Legos with Ken Levine, and this was from GDC 2014, guys. So 2014, this was released, okay? And in this video, this kind of, you know, almost not necessarily a one-on-one, but he was giving a talk here at GDC 2014. And in the very beginning of it, he talks about how the concepts and things of that nature that he talks about are not a project he's even working on. So I'm not sure exactly what that all necessarily, you know, what it means as far as what he's working on right now. Because if we base this on 2014, guys, we're talking 6 years ago at this point. I mean, over 6 years ago. And look, Ken Levine is one of those guys who is, in my opinion, one of the most brilliant minds in gaming when we talk from a creative directive sort of, you know, space, right? You could put him up there with like Hideo Kojima and guys like that. I mean, he does an incredible job at really crafting great stories. Now, look, the question is that now that he's with Ghost Story Games and we see kind of what it is that, you know, he's been there now for quite some time, is there a possibility that he is going to be working on, you know, has he been working on something all these years now and we still haven't seen really anything based around it? Like, I mean, that's the thing about this that is very interesting to me, is that we really have gotten, you know, little snippets here and there of what he might be working on over at Ghost Story Games. However, and if you go to Ghost Story's official website, guys, there's really nowhere on here that explains what they're working on at this point in time. And that's what's really interesting to me. I mean, you see a lot of BioShock stuff from like Irrational Games and things of that nature, but really nothing new at this point in time. Now, Ken Levine has stated that they wanted to take their time with their next project. They didn't want to feel rushed under the gun, so to speak, when they were working on BioShock in particular. He didn't like that there was this constant rush. He really wanted to take his time. And so here's what I will say. The next project from Ken Levine and this team over at Ghost Story are going to probably going to be something pretty special, because they have that, you know, that freedom to be able to take their time at this point in time and really kind of create the story that they want, take the time that they need to in order to do so. I just want to play it, though. Whatever it is, guys, I'm very intrigued by this. And it's been years now. I mean, we're talking years since their last project. And so I'm hoping that we get it sooner rather than later. So at this point, what's next? I think that the next game, guys, could be something incredibly special by Ken Levine and his team over at Ghost Story Games. We're just going to kind of have to wait and see as time goes. But there is definitely more, I believe, in the tank with Ken Levine, even though, you know, he's stated in the past that BioShock Infinite and that franchise really drained him as a person. It really took so much out of him, and that's why he wanted to have more of that creative freedom. It's unfortunate because we won't be able to see his side or his creative vision, you know, after, you know, BioShock Infinite. but at the same time, it's going to be interesting to see probably a new IP come into the fray by him and his team over at Ghost Story. But with that, guys, let me know, what do you guys think is the next project that Ken Levine is working on? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more content like this, guys, stay here with Zero TV. After getting a chance to watch more gameplay of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I gotta say, guys, that this is a title that reminds me a little bit of The Witcher. Of course, it reminds me a lot of the past couple iterations of Assassin's Creed, that being Origins and Odyssey. And with that, though, comes some positives and some negatives. And I also, want to get your guys' thoughts about this in the comment section down below. The question here in this segment of the show is Assassin's Creed Valhalla going, kind of continuing and having more of the same of what we've gotten the past couple iterations of the Assassin's Creed franchise? Or is this going back to the traditions of what made Assassin's Creed so great in the first place? Or is this going to be a little bit of both? So let's talk about it. So to answer the question, in my opinion, guys, it's actually going to be a little bit of both. It's going to be kind of going back a little bit to the same, that being, like Odyssey and Origins, it seems. They are kind of focusing a little bit, obviously they're kind of thinking to themselves, I believe, that they want to have action over that of stealth. However, they are making a very conscious effort. You could even see it in the trailer where they even had stealth on the screen and in writing. So stating that, look, we are making a conscious effort to have stealth within Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Now, what that's going to look like is going to be kind of interesting, and it seems like that is going to apply to certain scenarios in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. But all in all, guys, this game does remind me a lot of Origins and Odyssey. Now, this does seem like the most interesting, time period that they've done in the past couple of Assassin's Creed games. I love this Viking, the Viking era, what they're planning, kind of what they're building this around. I'm pretty excited about. Part of the reason, though, that I think that this may be back to the traditions in a couple of ways is, number one, is in that first trailer we got for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, we see the main character in Assassin's Creed Valhalla use the hidden blade, okay? And he also sees another assassin that is obviously not there, but he's kind of looking at it and looking at the assassin. Now, we don't know, is that assassin Altair, is it Enzio, or is it, one of these other guys? It's hard to say, right? We don't know who it is. I would love it to be Altair. I would love it to be Enzio. But we'll just kind of have to wait and see, obviously. The fact of the matter, though, is they're making a conscious effort to kind of bring the Creed back into Assassin's Creed. Because it's felt like, guys, in my opinion, the past couple iterations of Assassin's Creed have kind of led us into the dark ages of Assassin's Creed. I just felt that what made Assassin's Creed so great in the past was the stealth over the action. You have action elements, but it's mainly a stealth-based game, and that's what the Assassins were all about. You've kind of gone into this new era, though, of Assassin's Creed where it's action over the stealth, which has made it kind of feel almost like a totally different game, similar to like what Call of Duty did when all the games were, and what made Call of Duty so great was, boots on the ground, right? And then they ended up adding jetpacks for 3, Call of Duty games, and that kind of led us into like the dark ages of Call of Duty. And then, of course, they've kind of, rewrote the track, so to speak, and now we're back on that right track with Call of Duty. But Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it seems like they know what they're doing, what they're doing right, but they also know what they did wrong with the past couple iterations of Assassin's Creed. And I think that the fan base as a whole, I don't think I'm alone when I say this, we want this to somehow tie into the overarching, story of Assassin's Creed. We want it to make sense. Does Assassin's Creed Valhalla lead us to, kind of having connections to Assassin's Creed Revelations or the first Assassin's Creed or Black Flag or somewhere of that nature? We're going to have to wait and see, guys. But all I will say is this. This is a game that I think has a real opportunity ahead of it to not only be able to kind of be the best of both worlds. They can have things within it that tie into what made Assassin's Creed so great in the first place, that being the assassins, that being the stealth that is built into the game. but you can also have some of the things that have worked from Odyssey and Origins within Valhalla, that being like the action elements of it, and they can even refine that. The graphics, guys, it's hard to say really. I don't think that, you know, this is obviously a, you know, the final footage that we're going to see. You know, from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it still feels like they're still working on things. I'll tell you, the cinematics are incredible, but, you know, when you're actually in the game, there does look like there's, you know, some of the environments and such, you know, feel not so much dated, but kind of, you know, the Ubisoft engine does look a little, it does kind of look like it's kind of over time seems kind of similar to some of the other Assassin's Creeds, where the graphics haven't really progressed in a major way. However, we got to give them the benefit of the doubt here. This is just going to be, you know, obviously a beta or, you know, very early gameplay at this point. So let's just wait till the actual game comes out and we can kind of give our rating on the graphics standpoint. But I gotta say, guys, just looking at what they're going for here with the world around you in this, I'm really excited about it. I really am. I just want it to tie into the other Assassin's Creed games and it to make sense, and they start kind of tying up some loose ends. I mean, I really want to see that moving into Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I want there to be this real, you know, conscious effort. I think part of the reason why they've moved away from, you know, the earlier Assassin's Creed games is because they just made so many of them, you know, year in and year out. They were having, you know, 2-3 games come out sometimes each year, and I think it was just oversaturation for Assassin's Creed, and so now they felt that they needed to change things in a major way. So hopefully with Valhalla, this leads us into the next generation of Assassin's Creed and into the next generation of gaming as well, because that's what we're getting with the Xbox Series X as well as the PlayStation 5. So do I think that this is going to be more of the same? I do, but I also think that they are making a conscious effort to kind of bring back some of the things from the past, whether we're talking the Assassins, you know, the Assassin's Creed as a whole, whether we're talking, you know, our main character in Assassin's Creed Valhalla having ties and, you know, origins to the Assassins in one way, shape, or form, his ancestors, whatever it might be. They're making a conscious effort for that. They're making a conscious effort for stealth in this game as well, and I love that. Kind of reminds us of The Witcher a little bit as far as the environments are concerned, which is not a bad game to kind of take some, you know, kudos from. And so overall, guys, am I excited for this game? Absolutely. This is one of my favorite franchises out there. I just want to see the success of this franchise moving forward. I want to see it, and I want it to kind of go back somewhat to what made it great. And I also want to see it kind of progress forward at the same time. You know, adding things to it is fine. I just hope that we get that here with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where you get kind of the best of both worlds, so to speak, from what worked in Origins and Odyssey to what worked in the games of the past. I want to see those kind of built into Valhalla, which could make a really special experience. But let me know, guys, what do you guys think about this? In the comment section down below, let me know what you guys think about Valhalla. And at this point in time, what do you guys think? Let me know down there. And for more Assassin's Creed Valhalla content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. I've talked in the past about Time Shift, and you guys can check out all of that content here on the YouTube channel. Time Shift was a pretty special game to me, guys. I really enjoyed this game, and I was hoping that we were going to get a full-blown franchise out of this, because I thought that there were so many elements within it that were beyond its time, but I also felt that Time Shift had some ways in which that they could really progress forward, and I think that this was a game that I just think that could have really been something special had they made this into a full-blown franchise. But that's neither here nor there, because we haven't gotten a sequel to Time Shift, and so the question here in this segment of the show is what happened to Time Shift? So let's get into it. So guys, Time Shift was a game, of course, that came out back in 2007. So, I mean, we're talking a long time ago, guys. This is back when I was first starting, really, to get into gaming as a whole. Time Shift was one of the first games that I had played, probably the first dozen games I played on the original Xbox 360. And I gotta say, when I started playing this game, I was instantly hooked on it. I loved the concept of like reversing time and going forward in time and using, and it was just very easily accessible, being able to do all the different things that you your guy could do within the game. And so with that, the story around it as well was very interesting in my personal opinion as well. So with that, guys, I think what we have to look at is, a number of things, because usually it's one of two things or two of two things that could happen to a game that really warrants a sequel or makes it so that the sequel doesn't come out. The first being the critical reception. So if the critical reception of a game is negative, like it's not very good, usually that would mean that the game wasn't well received, and so they may very well decide, that being the developer and publisher, maybe will decide to move on. The second thing is sales. If the sales are bad for a game, usually that would mean that, at the end of the day, this is a business, and so if they're not making the money that they need to, that being the developers and publishers, they'll move on to other titles and such. And so with that, guys, the reception of this game though was pretty good. I mean, it got mixed to positive reviews. So essentially, guys, it got basically 70% out of 100 kind of across the board. Now, IGN gave it a 7.6 out of 10. You had GameSpot give it a 6.5. Game Informer, 7.75 out of 10. So what I'm getting at here is that this got pretty good reviews. I mean, above average reviews, without a doubt. And I think that people, really did enjoy this game when it first came out. Like, people thought this was a cool concept. And I think they really could have continued this, that being Saber Interactive as well as Vivendi Games. The big thing here, though, guys, even though it got good reception, the second part of this, though, is that when we kind of dig deeper into what happened to the developer and what happened to the publisher, the developer being Saber Interactive and what happened to the publisher, Vivendi Games, could really tell the tale. So Vivendi Games, guys, this is a company that has had quite a nice history. However, one thing that that really came up that was very interesting to me was that between 1997 and 2001, the company switched parents and names multiple times before ending up organized under Vivendi Universal. And then in July of 2008, so 1 year, not even a year later, guys, in 2008, Vivendi Games merged with Activision to create Activision Blizzard. So what I'm getting at here, guys, is Vivendi Games is now Activision Blizzard, was a part of that acquisition. Happened in 2008, July of 2008. And that was, of course, shortly after Time Shift came out. And so I think Time Shift just ended up, even though Vivendi Games is basically holds the rights to making another Time Shift game, I think that it just almost got lost in the shuffle. It was one of those games that got lost in the shuffle during this merging of Vivendi Games to Activision Blizzard. Now, Saber Interactive, on the flip side of this, they just got acquired by Embracer Group in February of 2020, so earlier this year, for a little bit over $500 million, making the studio a direct subsidiary. So they became a subsidiary, guys, of Embracer Group. Now, the games that they've worked on, which is interesting, they've worked on a lot of games outside of Time Shift, that being like Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, which was one of their first projects after Time Shift. Then, of course, they did stuff like Halo the Master Chief Collection in 2014. I mean, guys, they did a lot of decent projects. I mean, they did The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition. They did World War Z. So what I'm getting at is they're not necessarily the publisher, but they're one of the developers here working on these games. And so more recently, they've done, Crysis Remastered, of course, World War Z on the Nintendo Switch, WWE 2K Battlegrounds. They're also working on Quake Champions as well as World of Speed. And so what I'm getting at is this, guys, is Saber Interactive, they could have maybe continued working on Time Shift had Vivendi Games decided to move forward. But I really think we have to break it down to Vivendi Games. They were the ones holding the rights to Time Shift. And this is a game that came out, guys, in 2007. Came out October 30th of 2007 on the Xbox 360 and Microsoft Windows, and then came out November 19th of 2007 on the PlayStation 3. So it came out in 2007, end of 2007, and then Vivendi Games, who held the rights to it, merged into Activision to become Activision Blizzard in July of 2008. So not even a year later, guys, just a number of months later, Vivendi Games merges, and there you have it. Time Shift might have got lost in the shuffle. Now, here's the thing. Even though Time Shift at this point, we haven't gotten a continuation. If you're a big Time Shift fan like myself, I love Time Shift. I thought it was a great game, and I thought it could really, kind of became something special within gaming. The thing is that Vivendi Games, or Activision Blizzard at this point, hold the rights to it. If they ever decided to go back to it and make another game in this franchise or in this series, they certainly could. Now, will they is another question, guys, because obviously Activision Blizzard, they're working on a number of different titles. Call of Duty, of course. They're working on all the Blizzard games. You've got, all kinds of titles Activision owns. And so would they decide to make another Time Shift? Most likely not. They probably would just do a soft reboot, if anything, but I don't even know if they would even necessarily do that, guys. I want to see a continuation of Time Shift just as much as anyone else who enjoys this game. But at the end of the day, it's really going to come down to Activision Blizzard. I wouldn't hold your breath, guys. This is pretty much, in my opinion, what happened, though. Vivendi Games, and these are facts that Vivendi Games, merged with Activision Blizzard. But I'm just breaking it down thinking that Time Shift was one of those games that got lost in the shuffle during this time period that Vivendi Games merged with Activision. But with that, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What do you guys think happened to Time Shift? Do you think you guys agree with what I'm saying? Do you think it was maybe something different, like Time Shift just wasn't as well received or as well received as they would have liked it to be, and they just moved on to other titles? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And for more Time Shift content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.